Welcome back to the deep dive. We're always looking at ways to pull apart the tech that matters. So imagine you've built this amazing backend, right? But it's stuck behind a wall. How do users actually get to it securely, reliably? That's where Amazon API Gateway comes in. Think of it like the essential front door for your applications. It connects users to all kinds of backend services. And today we're getting into two main types, REST APIs and WebSocket APIs. Each one's got its own superpower. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Amazon API Gateway, or what is it? Fundamentally, it's a fully managed service from AWS, helps you create, publish, maintain, the whole life cycle, monitor, secure APIs at scale.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is just how robust it is this intermediary, right? And it scales automatically. We're talking potentially millions of requests without you having to manage servers. That's huge. Plus the security side. It ties right into AWS IAM, Amazon Cognito too, for authentication, authorization, all that. And it's flexible. Doesn't care where your backend is. Lambda, EC2, something running in your own data center. It can connect. It's really built for modern web and mobile apps.
Okay, so it provides this really solid, secure foundation, a front door, like we said. But what kinds of doors are we talking about? Let's start with maybe the most common one, REST APIs.
Right. REST,
Yeah.
the traditional approach.
Right.
Stateless. Client talks to server using standard HTTP methods. Get, post, put, delete.
Classics. Good for standard web apps, mobile apps.
Yeah.
Fetching data, create, read, update, delete stuff. See argued operation.
Exactly. And within REST on API Gateway, you've got choices. There are the, let's call them full-featured REST APIs. They support things like caching, custom domains, more advanced configs. But then, and this is really interesting, especially for serverless, you have HTTP APIs. These are leaner, more cost-effective, optimized specifically for serverless workloads, like talking to Lambda functions, usually lower latency too.
Lower cost, lower latency. Sounds good for serverless.
Yeah, it really encourages that leaner function design, pushes you towards those single responsibility microservices. And how they work is, well, you define resources like a path, say users, and map those HTTP methods like DT users to a specific backend action.
Got it. So that's the request response verb. Client asks, server answers, standard stuff. But what if you need more? Like the server needs to talk back without being asked first, real-time updates.
Ah, okay, now you're talking WebSockets. That's the big difference. WebSocket APIs are all about real-time, bidirectional communication over one persistent connection.
Bidirectional, so not just client asks, server answer.
Exactly. With REST, the client is always polling, asking anything new, anything new. With WebSockets, the connection stays open. The server can just push data down to the client the moment it's ready. Think of it like an open phone line versus sending letters back and forth.
Okay, I can see how that changes things. What are the use cases then?
Oh, lots of compelling ones. Real-time chat is the classic example. Live notifications like sports scores or stock updates. Collaborative tools, where multiple people edit the same document. Online gaming platforms, definitely. Anything needing that instant back and forth.
Makes sense. How do they work in API Gateway then? Is it just different?
It operates based on a connection lifecycle. There are specific routes API Gateway manages, like connect when a client joins, disconnect when they leave, and then you define your own custom routes to handle the actual messages being sent back and forth over that open connection. But this real-time power means you have to think differently. REST is stateless, easy to scale horizontally. WebSockets introduce state. You need to know who's connected.
Ah, so the backend needs to track those connections.
Right. Managing that state, handling potential failures when you have long-lived connections, that adds complexity compared to simple REST requests. It's a different architectural consideration, especially at scale.
Okay, so two powerful but distinct options, REST and WebSockets. How does someone choose when they're starting a new project?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? A few things to weigh up. First, obviously the use case. Is it that stateless request response pattern, or do you absolutely need real-time two-way chat? That's the biggest driver.
Makes sense. Use case first. What else?
Cost. Generally, HTTP APIs, the leaner REST option, are often cheaper for typical serverless stuff. WebSocket APIs, well, you pay for the time connections are open and for the messages sent, so cost models differ.
Okay, cost is always a factor. Any hard limits to be aware of?
Yeah, some technical limitations. REST APIs in API Gateway generally have a 30-second timeout for requests and a payload size limit, usually 10 LB. WebSockets don't really have a timeout in the same way because the connection is persistent, but individual messages have a smaller size limit, like 128 KB. And like we said, you have to manage that connection state.
Right, the state management part again.
But the upside, for beginners especially, is that API Gateway is managed. It simplifies a lot of the setup and scaling, whether you choose REST or WebSockets.
So, given those limits and differences, what's a common mistake people make? Maybe picking the wrong tool for the job.
Definitely. A big one is trying to simulate real time with Rust. Just polling constantly, like every second. It's super inefficient, hammers your back end, costs more. Just use WebSockets if you need real-time
Don't
pushes.
try to fake it.
Exactly. And the flip side is maybe using WebSockets when you don't need them.
Mm.
If you just have occasional, simple requests, setting up and managing persistent connections might be overkill. A simple REST or HTTP API is often cleaner. It boils down to really understanding your application's communication needs. It's DNA, basically.
That's a great way to put it. Understand the communication DNA. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Quick summary.
For sure, REST APIs. Your workhorse for structured, stateless interactions. Great for standard data operations, think request, response.
And the WebSocket APIs?
Those for your dynamic, real-time experiences. Instant two-way communication is key. But remember the stateful nature.
Got it. REST for structure, WebSockets for real-time flow.
An Amazon API gateway makes building either one much, much easier. It's a really powerful tool for modern apps, handling scale and security.
Definitely simplifies things. So for everyone listening, think about this. What kind of front door does your next big idea really need? Is it a simple doorway or does it need a constantly open line? How will understanding that pattern help you build it right from the start?